Nothing. Okay? Means nothing. Doing absolutely nothing. So, anywho, the narcissist, right? Oh, I just spilled my gel. Like, this some good gel. Oh, this was a good piece of gel. I'm about to take it anyway. So, anyway, the narcissist, I felt my energy being pulled on. I felt it because I can recall it because it was like, I invited him. So, okay, I felt it. I felt it when I was 25, like I was having a quarter life crisis. And this was before my 25th birthday. And so I had a 25th birthday party with two of my homegirls who our birthdays are around the same time. And it was at a club. What was the name of the club? What's it? It was Visions Nightclub. Oh my goodness. Y'all, I lived at the club. Um, had fun. Oh my goodness. I loved my life. I still do love my life, but I enjoyed my life. I really did. When I come to find out about the people around me were not so hot, but I did. I enjoyed my life. I enjoyed my whole entire life, and I'm finna enjoy the rest of it too. Anywho, so I had a party at Visions nightclub, and since my homegirl, like literally, I wasn't attracted to him. I felt the energetic pull, but I wasn't attracted to him on no level, y'all. So when my homegirl introduced me um, to him, and she liked him, and she expressed that, when I had my 25th birthday party, a lot of my coworkers came. I invited her, of course, and I invited him as well for her. And that night they kissed and everything. So I was like, oh, okay, that's what's up. That's cool. That's cool. So that was at 25. Now, fast forward to, I'm going to say, because something happened with the company, we got laid off, rehired, and laid off again. And then after that, it was like a recession. And then at 25, I bought my house. I invited him to the housewarming. My boyfriend was there as well. My coworkers, well, all my coworkers, because I love people. So we had a good time. Um, but it was like, sure, I would have to look at my journals to see when he started popping up at me again and how it came about. And so had expressed that he liked me. And I knew he liked me. Let me just say that. That's probably why I was calling him up. Because I felt the energy. So I knew he liked me. But I didn't like him. I didn't. So I would have to really look at my journals to see when he popped up. But the the guy I dated at work, we broke up. Not due to nobody's infidelity. It was just, emotional growth and time to leave an emotional situation, which I knew because he wasn't changing emotionally for me. So, uh, and then after that, it wasn't, it, listen, because it brought me here, I can't say it was a bad, but I went against me. And I didn't take time out like I normally do after a relationship. I didn't want to. It was like I was tired of going around and around and around and around. So I wanted to do something different. Never do anything different other than what your character tells you to do. Let me tell you that, okay? That's the lesson in this story as well. So I made the decision to. He wasn't nowhere in the picture. His name is Michael. There's so many Michaels out there. But Michael wasn't nowhere in the picture. So after my boyfriend and I broke up, and I tried for like 2.5 years. But when I bought my house, it got weird. He started acting really weird and all kinds of stuff. And I know why because he explained it to me years later. but then it was just weird, he didn't want to come over. It was a lot. It was a lot. Anyhow, and I know what it was. It was jealousy because I was younger than him. I always dated guys older than me, and he was in IT as well. Um, but I've always dated guys older than me, and I think he was like maybe 7 years my senior, and at the time I was like 25. So do the math. And so I get he was in his ego, and he felt a certain kind of way that didn't have anything to do with me, even though he took it out on me by his actions, right? So during that time after we broke up, and it was a serious relationship for me, we were talking about marriage, we were talking about what our first child name would be, all kinds of stuff. And he was the first guy I lived with since I was an adult, or considered to be an adult. And he was the first guy I actually dated since being an adult. Like my last real relationship was when I was like 19. I messed with a guy named David for some time, but I knew I was moving to Chicago. When I moved to Chicago, I didn't date anybody. Then moved back to New York for a short time and didn't date nobody there. And all this time I'm celibate. So then um, I moved back to Atlanta. I have a roommate for about a year. That year, the next year, I'm buying my house. So I'm living kind of with my parents, but I'm not because I'm spending every night at Frank's house. So at my parents' house, I had a room, but my house was being built. So that was the first time I had gone back home while they built my house. And then after Frank and I didn't work, I was like, bump this. I want to date. And I dated outside of what I normally would date. And it opened up a portal for all those demonic energies to keep coming. I was protected. I was protected. But I had to go through it because I went against my heart. I went against myself. Okay? So during that time, that's when he crept in. That's when the undercover narcissist named Michael crept in. And he starts talking about how he's always liked me. Now, mind you, I told you guys, I tried to hook him up with my friend. Now, if I liked him, I would not have done all that. If I was in by any way means interested, I would not have done that. If they were going to hook up, that would have happened. I wouldn't have invited him to my party because I liked him, you know, instead of being undercover and all that other stuff. But I didn't like him. So during this time, and mind you, I had started smoking weed. So this was literally during the time I started smoking weed when he came back in. So my senses were down. My defenses were down, let me say that. My senses weren't down because I still recall everything, but they were malfunctioning. My intuition. There was a lot of confusion. That's what the devil likes, is confusion. So that's how he was able to creep in. But he was doing black magic behind the scenes, and he admitted to it. I just didn't know that's what it was. When he told me he has thousands of my pictures, so every picture I have posted on Facebook, he had it, and he has it in a file on his computer. That's what he told me. And when he first told me that, I thought it was creepy. I was like, that's weird, but I thought it was because he liked me. That's weird, right? That's how, when you're being raised by a narcissistic parent, it has your mind twisted and warped that type of behavior is normal, and it's deceiving, actually. But he told me, even when he traveled the United States, he told me, even when he went to theology school and he said he wasn't going to be a preacher. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh yeah, because I can't be with no pastor, like, because I don't want to be. This is what I'm thinking, not knowing. I know it now, though, because I've done my research, that he used that. He used my birth date against me. I don't know if I ever told him my time of birth, but I know he knows my birthday. And so when he went to theology school, he wasn't going because he was going to be manipulative, and that's what he was doing. So here's the juicy part. So after years of being manipulated by him, he took me out on my first date, and but he was using me. He was using me, and let me tell you, he's an older guy as well. And me being young and naive, our first sexual encounter, he told me he didn't want to use a condom. And me thinking I knew him, listen to me now, me thinking I knew him because I had been knowing him since I was 25, and we talked even then, and then before we even committed to this, I was talking to him, and and on the phone, and because I'm not an easy chick to, never been. So uh I I allow it, and I let his demons right inside me, all his demons, because he's a freaking narcissist. He's undercover though. He's undercover. He's undercover. He said hinting things that I only pick up on now because of the research I've done, like your free spirit. Narcissists hate free spirit. So if a person ever says that to you, I don't care if it's a woman or a man. If they ever say that to you, red flag. Okay? You're a free spirit. I thought he liked that. I thought that was a compliment. I did. I did. Yeah, I did. But narcissists don't like free spirits because you're not able to be controlled. You go against the grain. Understand, the government is a narcissist. It's the biggest undercover narcissist there is. Okay? So, first encounter, I allowed him. And he's doing black magic. Every picture I put up and he took, he's doing black magic. He is summoning me. He is pulling on my energy. And the fact that I allowed him to have sex with me without a condom because I knew him allowed a spiritual STD, okay? His demons to attach to my light, to attach and drain my spirit. That's an energetic cord. Okay? I didn't know that. I'm still young and naive. So that was our first encounter. Then he went ghost. I think 3 years later, because I stopped talking to him, and 3 years later, I felt him because he didn't reach out to me. He's a narcissist. But I kept feeling him. And so I reached out to see how he was doing and got caught right back in the web. Okay? What did we do? I think we spent the day together. He went ghost again. Or said some hurtful shit. So each time we had an encounter, I don't need to go into all that, but each time we had an encounter, he would say some hurtful shit. After the last one, let me tell you the last one. Okay, so before I caught him, I don't even remember why and how we were talking. I don't even know if the undercover narcissist woman encouraged me to do it or what, or if I felt him pulling on my energy, and still I didn't know. This was right before the year prior to my awakening is what it was, or maybe 6 months prior to my awakening, where it was like, what? So I go over there. He hurts, we have sex. He hurts my feelings again. And all of this is demonic. Anytime someone does that to you, it's demonic. They have ill intents. They want you to worry. They want you to pour your energy into wondering what they're doing and why they did this. And they're draining you. But anytime someone demands and insist on having unprotected sex with you, they can transfer their demons and their fate. If you're a chosen one, they can only do it for so long. You are still protected, but you will have to go through hell, my love. Okay? You're going to go through hell. I can't sugarcoat that because that's what it is. And that's what it's going to feel like. So brace yourself. You might be already in the middle of it. And it's okay because it does get better. It does get better. I will never forget what I went through. It was a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise. And I say in disguise because I wasn't aware of it at the time that it was a blessing. At that time, it was hurtful. It was hell. I can't describe it no other way. Without being burnt alive, I imagine that's what hell would feel like. Without the fire part, that's what I would imagine it would feel like. Anywho, so I go over there, we have sex. The next day, he was talking. Okay, so the night before, this is how he set me up. And I was at my homegirl house, and I let her listen into the conversation. That's why I feel like she was egging me on. And she was in on it too. I don't know if at that point she knew she was in on it because she had her spiritual awakening before I did. But I don't know if she was consciously aware that she was in on it, like her spirit was in on it then. But I recognized when she knew who she was, when she tried to manipulate me and tried to get me to take pills and get hooked on pills and need her and ask her, because she said to me, I hope you never leave me. That's what she said. And I said, and I was walking up and down the street. I said, girl, I ain't going nowhere. We started this thing together. We in this thing together. I said, not unless I find out you did something. Because at that time, I was finding out how other people felt. She was the last of the Mohican. And I said that. And when I found out, yeah, it was time to cut cords. Because that meant she knew. Now, I don't know if she consciously aware knew, knew in her mind that I'm this type of spirit and that's what I'm talking about. Or if, because I know she was still taking pills, if her mind was warped. Because I can recall an instance where we had a moment of telepathy and it got twisted up in her mind. I know it did. Just by her comment and how she allowed, I believe, her auntie to really get in her head. I really do believe that. But that's not an excuse, because I was down. Anywho, I don't know why I just said that. And then I just heard somebody scream. Okay. Well, so after he hurt my feelings, y'all, I'm getting to the juicy part. After he hurt my feelings, y'all, and I sent him a text like, I wasn't safe with you, because that's what he portrayed. That's what narcissists portray. They portray like they're there for you without lifting a finger. They portray like they care for you without showing you. You understand? That's what they do. And if you have like magic being done on you, it's a lot going on. Because anytime I sensed that, he had to be undercover, because if anybody treated me like that outright, I won't even talk to you. So I was all understanding about him because he was like in therapy, and his son was in therapy, but his son is demonic. I went on his son's Facebook page and he is demonic because his father is demonic. And I believe Michael knows that he's demonic. I know Michael knows he's demonic. I know he knows because he was also in therapy. Do you see that? Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. So he knew. If he didn't know he was a narcissist, then his therapist was a quack. Because that should have been the first thing she said or saw, that he's a narcissist. But he undercover, y'all. He undercover. But I love the way I caught him. And that was nothing but God and my ancestors and my spiritual team. Like, I feel like God was like, listen, I need all hands on deck with this situation. Okay, hear on me. I need all hands on deck. Any and everybody up here that feel like they got an attachment to this girl, I need y'all on deck. I need y'all on deck. Because he did it periodically. And so if he knows my chart, he knew when he could come in or when I would be more susceptible to coming in, especially because I was green and I was naive and didn't know nothing about what was going on. Ooh, he had his way. But God had his way last, so I'm not worried about that. So, okay. After that experience happened, I sent him that text like I was never safe with you and blah, 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 blah. And that was our last interaction because he said some hurtful things. This was after I'm at my homegirl house. Oh, let me get the setup because this is where she play a part too. So I'm at her house and I'm talking to him and he talking about he want to go travel and he want to have a baby with me and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yo, blah, blah, blah. So that night, I feel him pulling on my energy, which at that time I didn't know that's what was happening. I didn't know he was probably staring at all my pictures and summoning me. Creepy, right? And so I call and I'm like, what are you doing? Not knowing that I'm being manipulated energetically and going against my will. Because why? Because of what he's telling me? I know better than that. I've cut people off because of that. So why could I not cut him off? The same reason I couldn't cut my family off. You see the correlation? You see it? Okay. Their magic was strong. Okay. So fast forward to like 6 months or so. And I think it was like 6 months. And all things is hitting. And I started realizing while I'm watching tarot with my homegirl that they talking about Frank. Not Frank. Oh, why did I say your name? They were talking about Michael. And I'm like, what? So she was a part of that whole conversation when he did that. And I told her what he did. And I don't even remember what she said. But fast forward to like a year later. And I'm watching videos on Narcissist. Never heard the term. Not that I can recall. Never. Didn't even know what it was. And so the first thing I think of is my mom. Okay, she's a narcissist. Very much so. And then, I think about what part I play. I'm the scapegoat in the whole scenario. Okay. My brother is the golden child, and so on. And so I am so I'm at her house. This is before I knew who she was, but at this time I had started cleansing my body and I was eating right and I was working out, so things is coming together. And I had caught her a couple of times making faces at me and I caught on to a couple of things she said that just, got filed in the way in the cabinet. One of the things was, I hope you don't leave. Okay, why would a friend say that? I've left before. I moved to Texas, and her cousin, this was all a setup. Her cousin was like, this is what it looks like. Spiritually, it's a setup. But out here in 3D, it doesn't feel like that. But you got to question why people say certain things. I only know because I remember the conversation. So now that I'm spiritually awakened, I can go back and be like, okay, now that's why they said that. Because when I was moving to Texas, her cousin was like, oh, she really gonna miss you. She said that while it was just us. She ain't say it with nobody around or nothing. And I said, why you say that? She was like, because she ain't never had nobody leave before. Like, that was a setup. Because I'm an empath. And, of course, I don't want nobody to feel sad because I'm leaving. So I paid extra attention when I left. You understand? I probably would not have, though. Because I was healing. I ran away from my family. So I was healing. Anywho, that's a whole nother story. That was just a revelation that came just now. Okay. So I'm talking to her at her house, and she had just told me that, a pastor she had been dating, had been messing with. She hadn't talked to him in a long time. And she went through the exact same thing I went through. You know, him being disrespectful, all kinds of things. I wonder if she recognized that he was a demon. He just was a pastor. He was a demon, though. He was a demon. Oh, that just hit me, too. He's a demon. Dang. He's a demon. And he preaches at a church. Don't ask me what church because I don't know and I never asked. But it's a church she frequent. I don't know. Anywho. I'm just thinking about that was a pastor. And how maybe I shouldn't have said that. I don't know. But it just dawned on me and I'm talking out loud because I know I have an audience. So y'all forgive me for that. Anywho, back to the story. So, okay, I gotta get back on track right now because that energy is pulling me. And I don't want to think about it. Not right now. Anywho, so I'm at her house. And she just got finished telling me how she called Preacher Man because she needed to resolve, you know. And I realized that when you're on your spiritual journey, you're going to be called in certain directions, you know. And that was one of the things she was called to do. I was called to. I was called to reach out to homegirls, you know, because it's about forgiveness and no hard feelings because you recognize the journey that you're on and the walk that you're on. So you do call, and now you do realize that when you do call these people that they're not where you're at. I didn't understand that. So they're still where they're at and they still have their own things that they're dealing with. And some may be receptive and some may not be. Okay? And that's all right. So she's telling me how she did this, and now this was like a week or so ago. I was at her house, and she's telling me she called Preacher Man, and because she's not in that same state, mind you, I'm still dealing with my family and all kinds of things. And she's like, that at this point, she done watched a million videos. She's all like Zen type thing, but you can't really be Zen if we are on drugs, and I mean drugs. Like even weed though, because now they weaponize it. I gotta watch my other video where I talked about that. Um, so I'm in the process of detoxing. Because I don't want that. I want all my memory. I want my whole mind. It belongs to me. God put it in my head for me to use and utilize, not for nobody else. So, okay. Did it dry out yet? Am I making progress? Sometimes it don't feel like I'm making progress. Somebody may feel like that. I'm talking about my hair, but somebody feel like they not making progress on this journey. And I get it. I know. It's okay though. You are making progress. Even when it feels like you're going nowhere. Every day you make progress. Trust and believe that, okay? Know that, my loves. You are making progress. Okay? Back to the story though. Back to the story. So, I'm talking to her a week ago. And so then a week later, I get the notion because I'm like watching, you know, YouTube and healing my heart and all kinds of stuff. And I recognize that I put my safety in another human being. That's what I did. And that's what I was calling. Because for me telling him, you know, I wasn't safe with you, I should have been safe with myself. So if he flaked, which he did, then it wouldn't have rocked me the way it did. Because especially that not being the first time he did it, right? Crazy. So I I go over to the house. I'm driving Lyft, and I go over to her house. I stop through like I normally do, you know, because I loved, and I was about to say loved, but I do love her, and I love her family. I love her daughter. I love her brothers. I do. I loved her auntie, but they don't deserve my active love. I can love them from a distance. I can still love them, but I don't have to be active with them to love them. and I don't have to come to their rescue or anything like that. I don't. I'm not obligated to. I'm really not. I'm obligated to save myself first. And that's what I'm doing now. Anywho, so I go over to her house and I mentioned, and I did it intentionally, okay? Because the other day I had peeped. Now she know I like to smoke. I'm not been a pill popper like that, but I did pop pills when I was with her. I had popped pills earlier in my life. When I was 18 and I went to New York, I popped a pill with my god sister. I popped a half a pill. I popped a mescaline, okay? And then on my 25th birthday, extravaganza, because it was an extravaganza, because I hit 3 cities. I started in Atlanta, of course. I went to New York, of course, and then I wound up in Chicago. And in Chicago, this is 25. So once at 18, 19, then at 25, and I was in Chicago, and my homegirl gave me my first X pill. It was the best experience I ever felt. I'm taking a pill with the homegirls here, but that X pill, this was like years later, and it did nothing. And the best experience I've ever had on X was in Chicago when I was 25, because that's probably when it was the purest. Now ain't no telling what they putting in that stuff, right? So when I was 18, 19, then 25, and then when me and my homegirls here in Atlanta had gone out, but they were duds, like literally they were duds, so I don't even really count that, but since I did swallow it, I'm going to say that. So that was the third time, and I'm trying to think, any time after that. May have been, but it wasn't significant. And then when she was doing it, she introduced me to it, but she had been doing it for a minute. And I liked it because it allowed me to focus and to calm down. But I recognized this one time when I went over to her house, she didn't give me any weed. This is when I was struggling and everything. And all this time she was like, here's a couple. Well, she didn't give no weed, but she gave me a pocket full of pills. So when I got in my car, I threw it out the window. I literally did. I threw it out the window over there by the Quick Trip. And was like, no, ma'am, you ain't trying to get me. But this, I hadn't even looked at my chart yet. I didn't even look at my chart. I wasn't even studying. That was just off instinct, and I felt weird about it. Like, now this girl know I like weed. That's what I was thinking. Well, why would she give me pills? No, thank you. I don't want these things. Plus, I had a bad experience on it where I didn't like how I looked, my reflection. So I knew I wasn't doing it, even when she gave it to me. I could have said no. I could have. I took it anyway. And I think that's when she thought she had me, because I took them and I didn't say no. So this whole time, I'm accepting the things that people are giving me, even though even though I know that they have ill intent. I know they do, because they're thinking about me negative. That's ill intent. Even if they don't say it to me, them giving me something doesn't equate